learn from elders. We learn from survival. We learned from each other. For trans guys. Wisdom you can feel. Real talk. Collective care. Hello and welcome to For Trans Guys. My name is Megan.
I'm Zander.
I'm JJ.
And I'm Julian.
Let's just jump right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what brings you to the table? Why are you hanging out with us guys tonight?
Well, I'm a guy, first and foremost, and a trans guy of that, okay?
Very cool. Well, we're glad you're here with us today.
Awesome.
I'm curious, especially because some people will be watching with videos, some people will only have audio. Is there anything you would like to describe about yourself that might or might not be evident to people so that they kind of get a sense of some of your roots, some of your you can go to family dynamics, you can talk about any part of your identity that you think would be helpful to describe for people?
Awesome. Thank you. Great question. And because I've always wanted to do this, I am a Latino man wearing a black t-shirt. I have a goatee, black hair. I wish I had more hair, although I just got a zero fade. So I got a little longer hair on the top, shorter on the side. My mom says I have a café con leche skin complexion, so milk with coffee. But what I identify as, I do identify as an indigenous Mexican person. And I do practice spiritually some Native American beliefs. Traditionally, I'm Catholic. And I choose to belong to a Unitarian Universalist church, which is freaking awesome. My parents are divorced. I have a few siblings. I have a baby brother. Call him Baby Jesus because his name is Jesus. And we are 25 years in age apart. So he will be 10 years old in August. So I would consider that a baby as I'm getting closer to my 40s. Yeah. My favorite color is red. I don't know. What else do y'all want to know about me?
Well, these are some really brilliant aspects. And I love that you've always wanted to share that kind of over explanation, all the details, so that everyone feels included in the conversation. So I admire that so much, Julian. And you mentioned some things that may have some opportunities to kind of talk a little bit about, because I'm curious, what are ways that you practice healing? What are ways that you talked a little bit about some of this transformative work that you've done for yourself and you might do for other people too. And I wanted to better understand that, or even we've talked a lot on this podcast about survival versus thriving. And I don't know if you're feeling that you're in a season of survival or thriving, or if you can just share with us a little bit about that. And for those that are visual, I am a twinsy, and I'm so honored to be a twinsy in my look, but not anything else, just the black t-shirt and the headphones. Tell us a little more, Julian.
Yeah, so just to give y'all a little bit of backstory, at the age of 16, I chose to move out of my mom's house and into my dad's house. And so at my mom's house with my stepfather, the rules were very intense. It was like, I can't say that it was like jail, but as a teenager, it felt like jail. I couldn't go hang out with friends. If any of that happened, they had to come over to our house, which was also near impossible because they knew about my home environment. They're like, how about we go hang out at a Starbucks or something? But then I wouldn't get permission to do that. Um, so when I move into my dad's house, I am first generation from my mom's side, and I'm I say third generation from my dad's side, because even though my grandma was born in Chihuahua, she was raised in the US, went through the public school system. So I consider her like a United Statesian, you know? If you saw her, you wouldn't think she spoke Spanish, but she speaks excellent Spanish. And so when I move into my dad's house, it's like the complete opposite of my mom's house. Complete freedom, like to not only explore the world, but to explore myself. And that's when, like, I had inklings at my mom's house that, maybe I like girls, but I would have never said anything based on the environment. So then I moved to my dad's house, and it's just like complete freedom there. So I met a friend. I'm not giving them like pseudonyms, but in high school we went by these, okay? So Muffin, she identified as a pansexual person. I'm like, what the heck is pansexual? She was really like my first introduction to like sexual orientation, freedom, and education, you could say. That, like, I don't know that if I didn't have Muffin, if I would have been open to also experimenting and kind of wanting to get to know about these different types of lifestyles, I guess you could say. And Muffin, we have lost touch now, so I don't know high school time, space. Then she identified as a female person. She had a girlfriend, so I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I started having a crush on a girl which she knew she was friends with. So we had like these awesome conversations. We'll name the girl Fruit Tart. I was Skittles, and just the openness of having these conversations about me having a crush on a girl and all these things, like, because she was so open about it, like, I started talking to Fruit Tart. She was like, what's going on here? Um, in a nutshell, I tell Fruit Tart that I like her. She says, she was like, okay, cool. Like, what's next? Kind of a thing. Like, the biggest barrier for her was, I don't want us to be girlfriends. And then if we break up, then we won't have each other's friendship anymore, which is completely understandable. Even then, in high school, so just have to share my coming out story with my dad because it's just the funniest thing. So fast forward, I'm starting to date Fruit Tart, and we're just dating in high school is already awkward, so we're just hanging out a lot, really. And I have my own room at the time, and then my dad walks in and he's like, "Hey Jay, are you gay?" And my first reaction was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh, that means you are." He turns around and walks out. And I'm like, "What?" I run after him, being like, "That's it? Like, you don't want to know anything else?" He's like, "No, you're gonna be 18 soon, and you get to choose your life and how you want to live it." And I was like, it's mind-boggling now to see how awesome my dad was then at that point. And I bring a lot of this into the forefront because I have to say that my ideals of what a man is has really was planted as a seed by my father. And he did a weekend called the Men's Weekend. And so when I go to college and come back, I know I want to do this thing. So I transitioned in college. My mindset was like, if I have everything that I'm a male, then I could just start living my life as a man after college and not have to explain myself for work or anything. And so that's what I did. And also, colleges have, at least in California, the UC system has an excellent health insurance um, policy that includes transgender care and surgeries and all of that stuff. So I actually got my top surgery paid for through UC Santa Cruz, and I just paid, I don't know, like maybe $150 the deductible or whatever. So yeah. So I come back home and I know I want to be a part of this men's organization, men's work, because I'm also thinking, so I my undergrad is in anthropology. So I have this cultural understanding of like how cultures are, and masculinity is a true culture. And it's been a journey learning about it and what it's like and why people act a certain way and behaviors and stuff. And I've just I fully immersed myself after getting out of college into this men's work. I did my men's weekend, um and I've been doing men's work for 10 years now. And really the beauty of it that I see, at least from what I started learning, a lot of this, the first men's weekend I went into was really separating the difference between men and women. Because whether we like it or not, biologically, there are differences. And I see it in the positive light of like, if we as men can really take on those roles of that provider, protector, then we can honestly create that safe space for women, for children, for all other people to just be who they are, however they come. And I take being a man seriously in that way of doing my due diligence to protect others and serve others. And it's been a journey, and it's been a great journey, and a lot of it has been a lot of work of also like self-acceptance. I mean, I'm still going through it now, in seeing what men look like. For those of you who are only on audio, I'm making quotations on what a man looks like. And what I'm thinking is, like, if you look at magazines, it's like the six pack abs, thin. I am nowhere near that. Um, due to hormone replacement therapy, like, I was a really like curvy lady. And so all those curves just went straight to my abdomen. And so, like, since all my life as a man, I've had like quote unquote like a beer belly looking thing. And that is part of my journey to accept myself in who I am and love myself for the body I have. Um, and it's been awesome every step of the way. Like, it has not been easy, but it has been absolutely awesome. I can sit here right now talking to all of you, whoever is listening, and say that the journey has definitely been worthwhile.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Julian, for that story. For those of you who are just listening and aren't watching us on video, we were nodding along as you were talking and smiling and probably saying things. You just couldn't hear us because we were all mic'd or muted. I'm trying to figure like where to go next because I want to ask you a question about like what are your creative pursuits? Like what kinds of things are you doing creatively? But yeah, I want to be a little bit selfish because I know you're a social worker and I wanted to ask you about that. So I'm wondering, is there a blend there or are the two different things? Like what kind of, you talked about the work that you're doing with the men's movement or with in men's work, which is not the same as a men's movement. I'll correct that. Um, but I'm wondering, are you working with men primarily in your social work practice or yeah, so a little bit about what you're up to creatively and then also if you'd like to share just a little bit about the kind of work you're doing with social work.
Totally. Well, first, what is the men's movement?
Well, it's kind of a misnomer in because there's more than one. Oh shoot, my camera went off. Can you still hear me though?
Yes, loud and clear.
So sorry. So the quote unquote men's movement gets tagged as a misogynistic thing. It gets because there's so many different strands. Like there's like the type of men's work you're doing, and then there's a type of men's work that maybe I wouldn't even call it work. There's men's activities that are being done by, let's say, incels, and most people just bunch it all together because it's men doing things with other men, and it all gets tagged as negative. They don't differentiate. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to create just a single place for the work that many men are doing in many different ways, which is separate from what you're doing in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to be clear that the men's work that I do and the men's circle that I serve with, we are definitely helping one another become the man we have always wanted to be. And above that, it's to serve humanity. Um, and so, like, any man could come in, and if he's interested, do work. And it's work on, first and foremost, yourself, on moving towards that man you've always wanted to be. And within the social work realm, I am not working with a lot of men because it's like the categories right now of my life are my wife and family, career, work, and then men's work. So men's work takes a lot of time. It's all volunteer. Right now, we are actually doing the third annual Young Men's Weekend here in California in Big Bear. If anyone's interested, check out our website, youngmensweekend.com. And providing these safe spaces for also young men to know that there are people out there that care and are wanting to give them that support they need. I don't know if you men know this or not, but right now, the number one cause of deaths for young men is suicide. And that is absolutely something that I'm fighting against to help support these young men, to help find them spaces to be vulnerable, to share those emotions, to learn how to regulate when they go through their first breakup. Because societally, men don't have, in quotations, men don't have emotions. But it's actually really wrong. We are very emotional creatures. The only possible difference is that maybe we have a little bit more grasp and control over the limited emotions that we do have. So I currently just got a position within the county, LA County, and I'm working in a clinic to support that, to support these youth, to spark maybe a little bit of curiosity about life so that they don't end their life.
And I'm so grateful you're doing that work. I'm kind of hoping that everyone in their life encounters a muffin and
Yeah.
a fruit tart and whatever's in the pantry. That's just a bonus dad joke for anyone who listened since the beginning. As we close out, our guest always gets the final word, and I really promise that that's what happens. We end right after your final word. What is it you would like to leave people with?
I have a quote. I'm just looking it up. And it is, mastering yourself is true power. And I'm gonna butcher the person's name, but it's Lao Tzu.